Joining us right now on the phone is the man who exposed the Bigfoot hoax, Steve Kulls, private investigator and executive director of SquatDetective.com.
The numbers of sightings, even if you take 99% of them and put them in the trash can, you turn around, you still have that 1% that can't be explained. Well, we need to explain it.
And then this thing walks across the road, takes a turn towards us.
All I can remember is flipping the light on, and I see this creature.
Went to look forward, and there was a big black thing, is all I can call it.
And the whole time, the whole thing was shadowing us, right behind us, right on the side of us.
I still see that damn thing to this day. It wasn't 20 feet from me.
You could see it standing from the moonlight in the tree line.
I was just scanning right to left, and it reminded me of like a gorilla.
Get somebody out here. Son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Welcome to Squatch D TV, exploring the Bigfoot mystery each week with your hosts, veteran researcher, author, and TV personality, the Squatch Detective, Steve Kulls, and from the Bigfoot Research Project of Kentucky, Chris Bennett. Sit back and buckle up as we bring you guests from around North America discussing the Bigfoot phenomena, but not without a few laughs, too. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch TV for today's date, February 5th, 2023. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch Detective Steve Kulls, along with my co-host, Mr. Chris Bennett. Hello, Chris. How are you?
Good to see you, Steve. Man, I hope you got thawed out from your recent Arctic blast.
That's Friday. It was minus 8 degrees here, and today was 42.
Oh man,
Tell me, Mother Nature is not schizophrenic.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be a lot of colds come out of this, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've been in the 40s, pretty regularly during the day, and it's been really nice. But yeah, -5. Oh no, can't do that.
And with the wind chill, because we had a high wind warning Friday and Saturday, for most of Saturday, the wind chills were like in the minus 20s and 30s.
Oh,
That was
wow,
not pleasant at all. But
yeah,
it's gone. It's gone for at least the next week because the weather on the horizon is all 40s every day. So looking.
Yeah, you're gonna have to leave some cat chow out for the bobcats. Make sure they get plenty to eat there.
Yeah, well, we haven't seen the bobcat nor the fox in about a week and a half. So.
-5. I don't blame them. I'd be holed up somewhere till this cold weather blows over.
Probably in Florida.
Yeah,
that's where I'd be. But at this point, let's bring our guest on for tonight. Hello, Jay. How are you tonight?
Hey, Jay.
Doing good. How's it going, Steve? How's it going, Chris?
Good.
Well, you were talking about -8. It was I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. It was -18 when I was driving to work. But like you said, I think it was a high of 39 today. And actually, Blake said, he goes, it doesn't feel like winter. It feels like early spring. So maybe good old Punxsutawney. Maybe.
You never know.
No, never.
Did he see a shadow?
Some of them did, some of them didn't. It depends on what Phil you're looking at. Punxsutawney Phil saw a shadow. I think there's one over there in New York somewhere that
Hillbilly Phil didn't show a shadow in Kentucky. No.
So I guess it'll all be depending on what part of the U.S. you're in, if it's an early spring or not.
Well, here's the funny thing. Does a groundhog really see its shadow? I mean, really?
I
No.
don't know.
It's all a movie.
It pops out. It looks around and says, "Oh crap! What are all these people doing?"
I know,
here?
right? That's what I would think too.
But
my dog would do that.
Yeah, I would do that. All right, let's do the roll call for today. And man, the chat is hopping today.
Wow. Yeah. Golly. It's going to take me an hour to scroll up here.
All right, I'm ready to go.
Hey, guys. Good to see everybody. Glad to have you.
Certainly are, and welcome to all our new subscribers. The channel's been booming lately, and we appreciate everybody. So anyway, and just so you know, and just so you think about it, and don't forget, if you like what you see, smash that like button. Do it now before you forget, because what you're about to see is some of it, I think, will honestly blow some people's minds. It blew my mind today, that's for sure. But anyway, the rundown, Em and Chris, who turned the lights on for everybody, Low Rider, Chad Datema, welcome. First time I've seen that name in the chat. Welcome.
Welcome, Chad.
B. Lynn is listening tonight.
Hey, B.
Hope you feel better, hun. Yeah, Brian McMahon, Pete H. Hey, what's going on, Pete? Grasshopper, Daniel Weeks. Hello, Daniel. How are you? Don Fuller, Don. It's coming, Don. It's coming. Leon, Bigfoot Okanagan in the house.
Hey, Leon. Good to see you.
Jay Fritz, good to see you, Jay.
Hey, Jay.
Sandra Piper, good to see you.
Sandra.
Angel Nolan, hello.
Angel.
Finding the Trackway, hello.
Finding the Trackway, welcome.
Who else? Joe Dryden, hello, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
John Ayers, hello,
hey, John.
Sir. Charlie Wonton, good to see you, sir.
Wonton, Charlie.
Hey,
Good to see you.
Jimmy the Kid.
Uncle Bones 2 in the house. High five, Chaser. The Authentic Happiness Show. Well, we're happy to see you here.
Authentic Happiness. That's a new one. Hi, welcome. Good to see you.
Maddie's in the house.
Hey, Maddie.
What is?
Hey, Mad.
Mike from Tactical Bigfoot Research.
Hey,
in the house.
Mike.
Chris Tipton, that's a new one. Good to see you.
No, actually, Chris is the one who was with help casting the cast.
Oh, good to see you, Chris.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris. Good.
He was ill. He would have come on tonight with us, but him and both Maddie are kind of under the weather.
Oh, now we have a Sherry Bigfoot in the house too. Welcome,
Sherry.
Sherry.
Paranormal Heart Podcast. Hello, welcome.
Paranormal Heart. Welcome.
Thank you.
Michael Haywood in the
Hey, Mike.
house.
Good to see you, bud.
Blue Ridge Bigfoot. Welcome back, sir. Welcome back.
Blue Ridge. Good to see
Fly
you.
by Stu is in the house.
Stu. See you.
All right, now we're starting to have to parse some of them. Jen, good to see you again.
Hi, Jen.
And
I'm
scrolling. Keep my finger rolling.
Gee, my butt is swollen.
Rawhide.
Yeah.
Jackie Moran in the house.
Jackie.
Welcome.
She's another one who comes out with me all the time to the kettle.
I don't know if we said this. Brian McMahon's in the house. Kaiju Ninja 1985 in the house as well. I love that name.
I love
Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks. Hello.
Good to see you, Wizard.
Gary Johnson, welcome. Hey,
Gary.
Jeff from Pine Island Research in here. Norma, Girly
Jeff.
Bigfooter, hello, good to see you.
Uh-huh.
Who else? What? Karen S. Hello, Karen.
Hi, Sherry.
All right, I think I'm at the end of the scrolling. All right.
Oh, wow.
Now I need to put my finger in ice.
Karen. Yeah. Yeah. Gosh, it's great to have you guys in here.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Pleased to have you.
Now, Jay, we got to talk about the last few weeks. We had you on, I think, was it 3 weeks ago? And kind of recap, if you would, what we talked about, what you saw out in the Kettle Moraine, which is in Wisconsin, for those that don't know.
Okay, well, I'm based out here in southeast Wisconsin. My research areas are in the Kettle Moraine. Kettle Moraine is 55,000 square acres, runs 100 miles up through the state of Wisconsin. You look on Google Maps, it looks like a sliver compared to, the upper Wisconsin or Michigan, Minnesota, and of course, everywhere else that even the Chestnut Ridge, that's massive. But the Kettle Moraine is immense. It really is. And I have been researching their, I like to call it hiking more than anything. I'm not a Bigfooter, not a squatcher. I'm a guy who likes to hike and seek the truth. And I've been doing that for going on 10 years this year. Prior to all that, I always believed in ghosts and UFOs, but Bigfoot was not even on my radar. That might as well have been Elvis riding a unicorn somewhere to me, because everybody's been doing it, right? How long have you guys been doing it? Where's the body? Where's the
right?
Yeah. There were certain things that happened in my first documentary, Finding Jay. You'll kind of see me starting off into the Kettle Moraine. That, of course, I came out with a sequel to that, Beyond the Kettle, both on Prime. But the thing is, I just love going out there more than anything. And it was what was the 10th, the 11th of January, me, Maddie, my oldest daughter, Maddie, and Ben, my 34-year-old nephew, went, we like to go out early in the morning. So we're up at 4 a.m. We're out there
well, let me correct you there. They like going out early in the mornings. Jay likes to sleep in.
Well, not necessarily. I'll tell you what, if they call and say, do you want to do it? Like Maddie will do that all the time. Like, yeah, I'm free this weekend, Dad. Do you want to go at about 4 a.m? I'm like, my only one day. But you know what? It's great to get up. And what we do is we kind of walk the trails, get off the trails, bring out some camping chairs, bundle up because it's January here, so it's really cold. Right. And the three of us were sitting out there, and then it starts getting light out. Then you kind of stretch your legs. And we just kind of wandered around what I call base camp. And as we were walking out, Maddie, at the top of one of the kettles, because you're kind of looking down into the bottom part of the kettle, and Maddie saw something jump from one tree to another, and she said it was huge, like it was big, but it was kind of a whitish gray, but it kind of disappeared in mid jump from the other tree. So of course, like anything, we're like, all right, let's go down there and check it out. And we get down about the 40 yards to walk to where she saw it. And that's where we're standing on the path in between the two trees where the thing jumped from where she saw it. And then she looked even further down the trail into the tree line. She goes, there it is. And she's staring at it. Now, me and Ben are looking in the same direction, but all you see is woods. Yeah. And I told her, don't take your eye off of it. I always hear, you take your eye off it, these things are gone. Keep your eye on it. I got the camera rolling and hit video. I said, don't even look at it. I'm going to put it in your hand, lift it up. Don't take your eyes off of it. So kudos to Maddie for doing that. And then Ben went way off to my left, probably about 20 yards, but looking in the direction. And I was right by Maddie on the side of her. I don't know where she's looking. I'm looking directly where she is, and I don't see anything. And then at the bottom of, or where I'm seeing where there's a tree there, I don't want to be the guy who says the whole, because there's the apers, the woo, and okay, I saw what looked like a predator cloak. Mm-hmm. I did. It was basically, I didn't see head, shoulder, arms, and everything. But it reminded me of, I always say, Harry Potter throwing the cloak over his head, or Frodo. Mm-hmm. It was that type of distortion, and it was to the right of a tree base. And right when I looked at it, I saw this distortion move behind a tree. And I know that for a fact because the distortion didn't go in front of the tree. It like disappeared as it went behind the tree. All the meanwhile, Ben saw something, the same thing that we were describing, a little bit earlier than we did, and Maddie is still fixated on the image that we sent that we were on the show a couple weeks ago. So I that's when I sent you Maddie was on with me. She's not feeling well tonight. That's why she's at home. But sure enough, we sent you the video. You looked at it, Steve. You broke it down, and that's where we're at right now. So,
yep, feel better, Maddie. So, let's talk about you going out a couple of weeks later after the encounter, doing your homework, and I will give you much credit. Jay was like, okay, he said, I got to do this. Steve said, I got to do this. I got to do this. And off Jay went, and he got the comparison video. He found something else. Obviously, if you look at the screenshot there, we did find a print. We'll be talking about that in a little bit. And we got some neat 3D rendering of the print, as well as if you all look very quickly, we're going to be right there. We're going to have a little look at it in a little bit, because right now it's in the casting. So, so we're gonna have a lot of fun and a lot of analysis to break down tonight. So tell us about, your trip 2 weeks later.
Okay, so actually, the week later, after doing our homework, I'll call that January 21st. That was our homework day, and Maddie wasn't able to make that trip, but Ben did, and that's when we did the comparison of the shots and everything like that. Once we had all that, we're like, okay, we're just going to continue to kind of hike the trails. Yeah. And as we hike the trails, I came across this big divot in the trail. Now you got to understand, these trails are they're not muddy. They are like almost like granite underneath them. It would take a lot of force to make that, even if it's wet. Now, right. It hasn't been really rainy out there. There's been snow, but it's not been rainy. And so when I saw this, I looked at it and I saw what looked like toes in the depression that it left. Now, a couple of years ago, Eric Altman actually recommended getting dental stone. So that's what I kind of always kept in my car with water, mixing everything. But I have always carried it, except for this time, because last winter I carried it, didn't need it. The water froze, burst, and kind of flooded the back of my car. So this time I'm like, all right, I'll leave it in my insulated garage, because I'm not going to see a print. You start getting that, I don't know, rookie mistake. Anyway, so I'm there and I document the.
It happens. Don't worry about it.
Well, I documented the crap out of it with video, photos, and okay, here's another print Jay found that's only by this way. But I'm like, I got home and I was really bummed about it, and I'm like, no, I'm going back out there. And so Ben had something to do. I called up Chris and Maddie, and sure enough, we're out there, and we get out there and we're actually looking at, because I've never casted before. People say you should cast, and I agree. And that's going to be another non-rookie mistake for anybody who wants to cast. Practice. But Chris and Maddie felt really comfortable with what we were going to do.
It's also nice to have a guy on speed dial.
Wait. I'm getting there. So we're doing that. And at this point, we don't know if it's soup or what, this dental stone's looking like. I'm like, all right, Steve, answer Steve. So I'm calling Steve out while we're all standing out in the kettle, and he's giving us some really good tips on how to do it. And we ended up doing it, but it wasn't drying. So I think we called you back even. And I'm like, Steve, it's not drying. It's like hard pudding. And it's been an hour and a half. And you said it would only take 45 minutes, maybe an hour.
Until I found out it was dental stone.
Exactly. As soon as you go, well, the only thing that really doesn't dry fast is dental stone. I'm like, yeah, that's what I got. Sorry. So, and then you were like, oh man, you could be out there for another couple hours. And Maddie and Chris are looking at me. I'm like, you guys want to stay out here till 3 or 4? I just remember Maddie goes, I would, but I don't know if my bladder would last. So anyway, we covered it up. I GPS'd it. And we're going to come back out the next day, which we did, but we came out at night, make sure any hikers or anybody out there. So we get out there, and this time it was me, Chris, Maddie, and Brad, Maddie's boyfriend. And it was cool because we extracted it. We're kind of playing the Jurassic Park, Dr. Alan Grant bringing a fossil up. And this was my first one. And sure enough, we do it. We document the crap out of the whole thing. Thanks, Brad, because he was really doing that. And so we get it and wrap it up, and we get all of our stuff picked up, and we're standing there, and I'm like, all right, that's good. We're nobody can come around and see what we were doing. And I remember Chris said something. Chris goes, hey, we're not out of the woods yet. So it was like kind of like and I'm like, I wonder if that's where the term came from. We're not out of the woods with this thing yet. Anyway, right. So we get it home. I let it dry. I put it in my back room, and got some heaters going. It's a little cool in the back 3-season room back there, and waited about 48 hours, and then Maddie came over, and then we documented it of plucking and getting stuff out and everything. And I'm like, I got to give Steve a call. So I video Steve, and because I was expecting a Patterson Gimlin type of cast, whether it was anomalous or a boot slide, or I always say if it said Nike in the bottom, just do it, or some type of.
Hey Jay, let me just interrupt you for one quick question. There is a question in chat, but I'm gonna get to that. Paranormal Heart Podcast has a question. We'll get to that question at the end of your soliloquy here.
Okay, and so then I call Steve, and I'm like, I don't know what I have here. And even me and Maddie were like, but we're looking at, we don't know how to look at a cast because it's almost mirrored. And as soon as I brought Steve on and looked at it, that was it. You said some things that really opened our eyes, both of us. And now that you did, it's like I can't unsee those anymore. And I remember you even said, and even Eric Altman recommended, you don't want to reach out to Dr. Meldrum or Cliff, and I did with Dr. Meldrum. I know he's a busy guy. He does conferences, he professes, he teaches anthropology in Idaho. He didn't really get back to me on that yet, but I got a hold of Ken Gerhard and showed him, and he felt for what it is. He's not an expert in the casts like Steve or Cliff or Dr. Meldrum. And he said, you know what? He goes, I'm pretty tight with Cliff. Let me send that over to him. So I got he kind of relayed it back to me. Cliff pretty much thinks it could be a double step boot, 14 inches, but he also said, but he could be wrong. So I don't know where that all goes with it. I'll take whatever advice from people that know about this stuff more than me. Ken thinks it looks authentic. But again, he's not an expert in the cast. So those are the two opinions I really got. And then, of course, Steve is the Squatch detective. If I'm going to go anywhere, I'm going to go right through Steve. But I was doing that as recommended because I'm not. Yeah. I've always said this is not about my first cast. It's not about being biased and saying, okay, I've done documentaries. I believe Bigfoot's out there, and this is a Bigfoot print. It's not about that. It's about the truth. And it really is. If this was all to be broken down and somebody wants to say this or this, not saying what it is, you know what? At least you're breaking that down. And I need to learn from that. I feel like everybody should learn what you're doing, Steve, in how you look at it, how you examine it. And like I said, I would have it no other way or to reveal it except through you. And here we are tonight. So.
And I know when we were going over that, I was making a lot of demands. Bring the camera in a little bit.
Yeah, you were.
A little bit more to the left, a little more to the right. Okay,
yep.
Up now a little bit. Okay, you see this?
Yep.
You see that? You see this? You see that? Okay,
so
bring it back on again.
So tonight, Blake, my son Blake, will be in the casting room with a green laser, and he's just going to kind of follow your directions of where to point to and what to look at. So he has everything back there. So.
Okay, so here comes the question from Paranormal Heart Podcast. How many prints were there, Jay, when you casted this print?
Oh, that's a great question. 1. And here's the odd thing. And this is really odd because the first set of prints I've ever found, and you can see them on my website under the gallery, I counted 12 of them back in 2014. But I was a newbie. I didn't know if you could cast in the snow or anything like that. So all I did was take video and document and measure them, and that was it. All other prints that I have found, and I've found probably close to 10 or 11 that were uncastable, meaning they were surface prints or just disturbances within the forest floor. There was one in 2017 that was castable. Again, I didn't have my casting equipment there, and I was going to come back, but that was the year it was in July, and it just downpoured. It got rid of that print. The next day I saw it, and it didn't even look like a print anymore. But it's always that one print. Now, the first thing I do is I start given myself a radius, and I've gone out 10 feet, 15 feet, 20 feet, and I'm trying to look for anywhere else it could be or another print. And I wish I was a great, Native American tracker or a great outdoors wildlife tracker, but I'm not. But I am trying to do my due diligence by looking for those disturbances of where it could be. So the long answer is only one print, and that the other foot could be, I can only surmise where that would be, but there's got to be another one that you would think. It would just be a matter of where did it pivot in midair. So I'm looking in the wrong direction of where a human gait would be. Would it be more often?
Now, Jay, let me ask you this question: is it possible that you missed any sign in the substrate? Because just because you have one print that comes out doesn't mean that there are other prints. It's part of tracking. Like a lot of times, you may find a print. The Ford Ancast is a great example. We found impressions in some digs leading up to that print going downhill. But if you were just walking by, you'd be like, that's just leaves. But you can see a clear, definitive depression in the leaves.
Yeah. Right. And the thing is, that's what I was kind of, again, that's what I try to look for. And, again, that's a trained eye for anybody who's doing it. The thing is, I can only learn and grow from this no matter what. I don't say I'm an expert in any of this. I mean, that's why, I'm reaching out to find that out, is to help me learn for anything else I ever find.
Yep. Exactly.
You were having some problems with that dental stone, Jay. I had used dental stone in 2009 or 2010, and I had real good luck with it. But now mine, it dried really quickly, but it got really hot while it was doing it. But now when I bought mine, I got it from actually a dentist supply place, and it was kind of pricey.
Right. Well, the other thing that he was up against was the temperature was very
temperature.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was 18 degrees, if I remember it. It was 18.
Oh yeah.
So that was the biggest thing. People have told me, Jay, you can cast in the snow. Well, this wasn't in the snow. However, it was also a frozen track, meaning that if it did happen again, I can only think that it would have happened in the last 24 hours, if not earlier. I don't know. Right. And then froze like that. So,
well, mine, it was probably between 75 and 80 degrees. And then after we poured the cast, you could feel the heat radiating off of the casting material.
We felt no heat. We wanted heat. We were doing this.
Oh yeah.
Like Steve. How fast will this dry? How long do we have to stand out here? Come on, man.
Another 5 minutes, Jay. Just another.
I'm calling you back. Steve, it's been 15.
Cold weather.
Hang on. Let me call Professor McGillicuddy. He made
You're right.
It's another
3 days
challenge.
later, you're still out there.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's weird because we go back to when we went out in the morning and Maddie saw that led us down to that area to where we filmed that tree line.
Yeah.
And then if it wasn't for that, and then getting, talking to you on the show and say, we got to do your homework, get right back there. We got right back there. And if we weren't back there, we would never have walked to find the print.
Yep.
So I don't know how that all works, but.
Okay. So we do have a couple of questions. Tack made a great point. He likes using toys. Circle searches with different colored lights, blue, green, and UV to look for disturbances. Great idea.
Yeah.
Oh, can I interject there too? Because when you saw Steve, when we called you the first night when me and Maddie were doing it, you're like, you're not wearing gloves. Do you have like a UV light? He goes, because you guys say you and Mike.
I did say that, didn't I?
You did, and that's again, you live and learn. Now I'll remember that. But is there possibly any hair that was in the dirt? I mean, there could have been, but all that would have been, out the door. So, I was listening to it saying, okay, next time gloves, next time UV. Got it.
Always
Yeah,
carry
actually,
that stuff.
casting the track is pretty easy. You got the experience. Tell me a little bit about the cleaning of the cast, Jay. Was that fun?
Well,
let me get to our question.
Oh yeah,
real quick
okay.
about, do they have mixing kits for casting? Some do, but those kits are generally for, people trying to cast the little paw prints and stuff.
Yeah.
Myself,
Well, yeah,
all
like
you need
hobbies.
is some water, something to mix with,
Yeah.
and it may be in a lot of times I always carried like a little an empty 2-liter bottle of Pepsi, right? And I would cut the top off that, about a third of the way down, and then I would use that to mix my stuff in. I would get a paint stick from Home Depot, and that would be my mixer, because those you get for free. The bottle's there, so you got your mixing kit right there.
You know what I did? I bought a bunch of plastic measuring cups off Amazon for like $10, and they're the sturdy ones. You get your little bucket, you get your free sticks, right? Like you said, and just always remember. It seemed, from what I remember, it's 2-to-1 to the plaster. So 2 parts plaster.
I'm going to do a shameless plug for a friend of ours, Emily Fleur. Emily Fleur over at the Forest Fleur has these wonderful little collapsible casting buckets.
Does she?
They're all flat, and you punch it through and it pops open. You can mix in it, and then when you're done with it, you can empty it out and fold it back up, wrap it up, put it away.
And I could also do a shameless plug for Emily. Is that brown hat that you see that I'm wearing out there was a gift from Emily from her collection.
Very nice. Yep. Okay, Chris, the question about cleaning the cast.
Cleaning the cast. Tell us a little bit about that, Jay. Was that fun or what?
Well, you know what? I keep making reference of Dr. Alan Grant of Jurassic Park doing it, and Ross Geller did it on Friends, being a paleontologist. I thought, how hard would this be? Again, I didn't really even know what tools to use to clean it off, let alone wear gloves or use a UV light.
Yeah.
So I got these, I don't want to say like wire brushes, because they look like wire brushes, but they really weren't. And it was enough to knock off lightly, all the the dried mud everywhere. And then we'd also use the aerosol spray cans to kind of blow the dirt out in everywhere we could.
Right.
So it was a nice experience, but I got to admit, I had Maddie was over, and she really did a big bulk of it. And I was, kind of telling her what to do. Just joking, man. And then Brad also was out there helping, and so it was a 3-way effort. It was pretty cool. I enjoyed doing it.
It's a big job. A lot of people don't realize it until you do the first one. You're like, oh, this is easy. I'll just pop it up out of there, and it's going to be all nice and white. And
exactly.
But you pop it up out of there, and it's like, I see nothing but dirt.
It looks like that's what my picture is. That's just all like muddy dirt or whatever underneath it. But yeah, it is. It was a fun experience, and like you said, it's a bigger job than what people think it is.
Yes.
Yeah. And as far as casting material, I think you can buy a plaster of Paris or sheetrock mud. A lot of people calls it. You get the powder mix, and they come in different dry times. You get the 20-minute, I think 40-minute, and then the 60-minute or the 90-minute, one or the other. Maybe it's 20, 60, and 90. But if you get the 20-minute, that stuff dries pretty quick, but now if you're below zero, I don't know. You're going to have a tough time with anything.
Right.
But the dental stone is actually, I think, the best. Yeah, but that cast is going to cost you some money.
Yeah. Well, honestly, it's what Eric said. Eric said it's the most durable because plaster will and can break. And we still treated this thing, as you can see, I'm holding it like a newborn baby. I'm moving it like a newborn baby. But you know what? After maneuvering it around here all this time, I'm like, dang, I don't know if this thing would ever break, no matter how hard you would try.
Yeah. I mean, I had heard of people and seen people on videos putting like a stick or something inside to kind of support the cast. And I got to thinking, wouldn't that be cool if you like carried some small pieces of rebar or steel with you? You could just like pour a layer and lay those down in there, then pour another layer on top.
That's true. And somebody said that too.
Maddie said we had a good time cleaning it up.
We did. She did. I saw Chris ask something. I don't know if you guys. I was kind of looking on the right side. Chris Tipton. He was asking something about the way we, if we should have. It kind of escaped me.
Find it.
There it is. At 8:31 p.m. Chris.
That's
Tipton.
a long time ago. Oh no, it's not.
Oh yeah, sorry. 8:31 my time. Sorry about that.
That's right. I was like,
it's I'm Central Standard Time, so.
Yay.
Any opinions on whether or not we should have tried to remove the entire track to bring home and study?
So
that would have taken a lot of dental stone to take the whole area.
Yeah, I think I had read where they actually did dig up an entire footprint from the bean field when they did the Bayou Creek thing.
Chris, take the show for 1 second, please.
Sure, but I don't think that would be practical to do because you'd have to dig well below it, in order to and when you trying to get that up without breaking the dirt loose that the prints set in. Man, that would be difficult, especially if it's below zero. The ground's going to be frozen.
And that's the other thing that we were talking about, and that's what Chris was saying as well. When you see that imprint in the earth, we couldn't even dig more than 2.5 inches with spade shovel. I mean, to get under there, that's how hard it was. And at this point, it was not. Could it have been surface cold? Absolutely. But something with an enormous force, in my opinion, I know in Chris's too, created that. And you go out there and we're big guys and you try to stomp or stick your heel into that ground. It is hard. You might get it down 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch. I don't know what actually caused that.
Well, it makes you kind of wonder. Wonder if the track was placed while the ground was thawed, or after the ground was frozen.
But it's been cold. I think it was getting colder at that point, but I don't think it really broke 32 or under since then. So it's not like it got into the 40s or 45 to really thaw anything out. Again, that's always, it's going to be a speculation, but we could be out there, and believe me, these trails we hike all the time. After it rains in the summer, and you try to forcibly hit in a lot of spots, you're not going anywhere on those. It's really hard substrate.
Yeah, that kind of impressed me too, Jay. Some of the times you can see these tracks being made in places to where you're not leaving any tracks,
Exactly. But the thing is, if somebody would actually say, this is what it was, this is what caused it, I could try to learn and understand from that. But generally, it's just an opinion of what caused something instead of the actual fact. Again, that's why I went back and casted it, because it wasn't to get my first cast. It has nothing to do with, deer hunters that want to put heads of deer racks on their wall or anything. I'm not out to get trophies or a display or look what I did. It's more, this is what I've been saying for the past almost 10 years being out there. I believe Bigfoot is out in the Kettle Moraine, and all of a sudden now I have something in front of me that's tangible that could either prove or disprove it or speculate.
I think you did the right thing, Jay. I mean, if you get something that's interesting and you really can't make out the definition, why not cast it? Okay, if you've got the material, cast it. Pull it up out of the ground, clean her up. Now you can get a good visual representation of what was in the ground. Right. And
yeah, no, 100%. I appreciate that. I, again, will always say I'm learning on the go. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. I'm old and I'm still learning new tricks.
Yeah. We had, I'd always regretted back in, oh gosh, probably 2003, 2004. We had some very nice tracks across our tobacco patch, and that was in nice soft dirt, and they were just ideal, perfect. And I did not cast those, and I wished 1,000 times I could go back in time and do it. That could have been some great casts made right there. But hey, at the time, I didn't know anything about casting tracks. I didn't even know how to do it.
So before we start with the cast, I want to move back to that video that you had shot. That a lot of people thought perhaps there was some pareidolia in there. I myself was kind of on the fence about it myself. And we had talked at length about it. And when I first saw your recap video, I glanced at it real quick and said, well, it looks like, but I was looking at the wrong area again. So anyway, let's take a look at some of the video that you shot that day, doing the recreation of that video. And of course, I went to work on it right away and did some side-by-side comparisons and stuff.
Yeah.
Which Jay's got a little smile on his face, rightfully so. So here we go. Take a look at this.
All right, we're back at the site where me, Maddie, and Ben saw something a couple weeks ago. That was actually 2 weeks ago to date. And we're going to come out here, kind of survey the area again, get some more footage just to compare what we captured 2 weeks ago, see if there's any difference to it or if there's still something else out here. So, all right, so we have exactly where we need to walk down with. All right, so look, if I enlarge this here, right there, it doesn't even look like the alien thing anymore. Check this out, dude. Where is it? Remember those big honking eyes?
So there you go.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it does look like there was something there. Now, the side-by-side video, even to me, shows it even better than those pictures do it. And here's the side-by-side. So let's take a look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks pretty interesting to me.
Well, the thing is, like, just looking at that from what Maddie was shooting, there was something there, and on the video that I took, a week later, you could plainly see there's nothing there. That is just
absolutely
good comparison.
It's phenomenal. Yeah. But this also goes like Steve, right? You got to do your homework. You got to follow up with it. You got to take your comparison shots, and instead of just taking the one and claiming that's what it is, it's very it's difficult to do unless you have something to compare it by.
Yeah.
See, that's it. Right, Mad? Yeah.
So that was.
I told her. I texted her. I said, "All right, I know you can't come on tonight, but you got to tune in. You got to tune in." Yeah, you see that, Mad?
Yeah, that was very interesting. And of course, I'm going to bring my cursor over to kind of help people along. There's your alien tree right there.
That's what we call the alien tree, the landmark.
Yeah.
And it's over here in the enhanced version. The enhanced version, you could really pops.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But as you see, there is the alien head there in the video, the recreation video. And right there.
And there's nothing there.
Nothing there. And even in the original, you can kind of see that something's there, something's there. In the recreation, nothing is there.
Yep. And that's, again, honestly, and that's what I say. Maddie was looking at it. She's seeing this thing. I don't know where she's looking. As you can see, everything just blends in with the tree line. I saw mine, the distortion, couple trees up from there on the left near the bottom. So the best guesstimate I could give from our approximation was maybe, I don't know, it didn't look any bigger than 6 foot. But again, we were higher up on the path looking down. Could it have been taller? Could it have been shorter? Yep, that's it. That's our that's when we went out there, and good times.
Good times.
Good times. We were on cloud nine, I'll tell you. Even Chris is smiling. That's a good thing. I never get Chris to smile in pictures. He seemed to be in a good mood.
Right, exactly. And so TAC has a question right here.
Yes.
It was the same phone used, and it was the same time of day.
Yes, and yes.
There we go.
I'm no, I was gonna say I'm no dummy. No, but the thing is, the reason why I know you're asking that, and I shouldn't have replied that way because, the biggest thing is the lighting. If you're gonna do a recreation, at least try to do it within the same timing that you did. I mean, within days, because the sun changes. So you want to get out there at that time of day and to get that same lighting, because all it takes is the sun to be further up, further over. You got different shadows. It's going to show the comparison difference. So you got to do it at the same time. But great question, Mike.
So that's awesome. Okay, let's get back to the cast, and let's show the video, the 3D rendering of the cast. And then we can get Blake into position. Now you see right now he's doing the Charlie Wonton.
Yeah. I was doing the are you ready, Blake? So he's out there. I can see him.
Clap
you can
on.
just grab your laser.
Clap off.
Yeah, my clapper never worked right. Mine was more like the light go out. Lights go back on. Okay, so let's get.
All right, he's getting in position. Just grab the laser, Bubba.
We're gonna grab the 3D rendering right here. So here is the 3D rendering. Here we go. And our mics aren't muted for this because it's not full screen. So Jay, if you want, I can play this again if you want it. And again, the 3D rendering program was recommended by
Mike Ann.
Yep.
Mike Ann. Yes, thank you, Mike. I wish I would have had that out in the field. The thing is phenomenal. Love the app.
Now, I can understand why Cliff may have thought this was a boot slide, as I pointed out to you that we'll play that again. What people don't realize is that the toes are actually, he probably thought was the foot ended before the gap. The foot didn't end until after the gap, which captured the toes. And that was the one thing I was looking at first, was that in actuality, what you're seeing is for some reason it did not capture very well, beneath the toes like this. So,
right.
So it didn't capture. Now, whether or not there was some substrate that was hard, maybe an underground root or something that prevented the ground from compressing in that particular area. So, and it could have been a pivot point, like you said.
Well, one of my theories, Steve, is that the front pad of the foot is lower than the toes, because you wouldn't want, if you had a heavy creature, you certainly wouldn't want it landing on those toes when it hit the ground. You'd end up having a bunch of broken digits.
Right. And what
So
I see,
I don't think,
what I see there is not something with a lot of. Could it be a slide? Well, I see a lot of substrate to the sides as well. So, at some point that print was made. What made it, can't say for sure. But
the thing, and that's what I'm saying, and I try to use the common sense of saying, if it was a boot slide or something putting in there, how is it resembling the toes? And again, I don't know what made it. I didn't see what made it. I'm just trying to understand that, like you're saying, if it was a slide, would you have, you're talking about root systems and everything like that. Again, I don't know. I'm just, when I look at it, or especially when I looked at the print that was in the ground, I'm like, well, dang, they look like toes. But I mean, who knows?
Yeah, it's not very well defined. That's the bad thing about it.
And of course, the substrate there is comprised of a lot of granite. I would take it in stone.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
And you can even see that in the cast. There's a lot of granite and stone. And that may be the exact reason why you only found one, because it just happened to be in the right area at the right time. So there you go. So let's get the casting room up and running. Hello, Blake.
Hello.
Long time no see. You don't have to stand in front of the camera, but
go on, put your face in front of the camera.
There he is. All right, let's go to the solo layout for this one. There we are. So, all right. He's not wearing his shoes in the casting room. Very, that's very proper. Very, very. He's gonna. And he pulled his foot back. If you notice.
You're okay, bub.
Okay.
All right. So we can't really zoom in. This is kind of a fixed camera, but Jay, why don't you point out some of the things I told you and take a look? What I see, actually, at a very deep level, is some what I call pressure areas that kind of went from how should I say it? Not very horizontally on the print, I should say. So from not heel toe, but really heel, or side to side, we saw these striations a little bit in the print, which indicated to me that this was a pressure print. This wasn't something that was like a rock had been there and somebody moved the rock.
Right. And here's the other thing. It also depends on, remember we were talking about the lighting. On this, because again, it depends on where the light really floods anything out. It could just look like a blob, and I understand that. But you could definitely see on the 3D rendering where what looked like impressions of toes. And again, what you were saying is when we were trying to measure it, I was measuring it on the depression where you can see it as the size, and you're like, no, but the toes, if they were toes, would have been up here, and we actually had that measured out to. Do you want me to go back there and just kind of pull the tape measure?
Yeah,
out?
if you want to.
If you can, that would be helpful, Jay. Yeah, we got some questions. They want to know what the length of the measurements on the track. What was that?
Okay, so how's the lighting? Does the lighting look okay?
If you want to try the other light, that would be fine.
The big light.
Yep.
Is that any better?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Or do you want me to move? I could move this light.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. So let me get on this side. Blake's on one side with his socks, and I am on the other side with my socks. Okay, so can you see that a lot better? This impression here?
Right.
And this is where Steve was talking about that Wednesday that we called. And as we can see, the final depression that we caught, which is really hard to see from that angle. Yep, good, right there. Good job, bub. It's about right there. So if we put that on there, we're right here, about 17.5 inches, which, you could say coincidentally, all the prints that I have been finding out in the kettle in different areas have been right around 17.5 or 18, or like Steve said when he told me that Wednesday night, sometimes you really don't see the full part of a print.
Right.
So then we were looking at, you were having me go from here, from what looks like, or go ahead, you can shine it there in that area right here, to over here. I don't know if you guys.
Old toe display. Yep.
Right. Full toe display is about 9 inches.
And now move that down to the heel, and let's get our heel width.
So then we got a heel width, which looks like it's about, well, looks like it's about 4 inches.
Yeah, maybe about 4.5, 4.25.
Okay. 4.5. Now, if you look up here, Bubba, see, this is what you were talking about, that pressure point. Here, I'll put this back down, and you tell Blake what you told me, that I'm going to leave that right here for now. You can tell him at what mark that you see. I'll move it down to here, and tell him on the ruler where you were seeing that possible mid-torso break.
Well, I was looking, it should be, you can actually see it better on the 3D rendering than I can see.
Right,
right now, it's very two-dimensional to me, so I really don't have that advantage.
Okay.
To show you exactly what demarcation it is. I believe it's going to be right around the 9-inch mark.
Right here, yep.
Somewhere in there.
Yep, and you were right. Because I can see it with, of course, I'm here live and looking at it this way, but that's what you saw the day that you first looked at this.
Right. And as you can see, the angle of attack, and maybe let's try, can we move that light just a little bit off the track? Not the green light, but the second light.
Yep.
So the second one, just move it off a little bit. If that helps.
A little more?
Yeah.
Keep going until he tells you.
Yeah, it's really hard to, you know what? Let's do this. The other light, the yellow light that you have on, turn that one off. Turn that one off. There we go. Now bring that light back a bit. There we are. A little bit better. Nope, go back the way it was. A little bit more. So we want to get a little obfuscation here.
A little more.
Yeah, there you go. And Tax says, get a flashlight and turn off the lights. You should get a shadowing.
Do what?
Turn off the lights and get a flashlight and put it on the desk. I don't know if that's possible right now, but
I'll look. Hold on.
But I do notice
Green
that
light.
there was
Mike
some
putting Jay on the spot there.
I know. We're all putting Jay on the spot.
Yeah. Sorry, Jay.
I'm putting this light on the foot though.
Yeah. I believe the pressure marks were at see some pressure ridges. Looks like they were at the 3-inch mark. I believe that it looks like between the 1 and 1, right in the middle of the 1 foot 1 inch.
Yeah.
Which is on the other side, down there, Blake.
Oh, sorry.
Right there. Yeah. About the 1-1. There's another pressure ridge, and then another one at the 10-inch mark, which is where the mid-tarsus is. And I believe at the 7-inch mark, there was another, seemed to be a ridge as well. So.
All right, we got a flashlight.
All right, let's do this, Jay.
All right, you want to turn off that one and just hold it in until it turns off? You ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Much better. So the groove at the top of the track is where the toes didn't capture. And to me, considering and looking at the side of the track, there must be an underground root or something that's causing that. Because it really is, Yeah, I would hold that light off to the side, Jay. There we go. That's better. So, and of course, there are rocks. Like I said, you can see the terrain. You can see the, and it's really, really hard to make that out necessarily shooting it from dead on like this. But unfortunately, we can only work with what we have. But you can see there's definitely something in there.
Well, with the ground being that hard and frozen, I mean, you're not going to get much of any push off or anything, so you're not going to see too much of a flexibility in the foot. But
and you can actually see where there was rocks in the ground. You know, there's a couple just about right at the mid tarsus there, and you can see where they, you know, obviously it didn't capture at all where that was. So that must have been a loop.
Right. Again, that's what I wanted was the Patterson Gimlin, you know, cast is what visioned. And then Chris was asking me how did it feel extracting all this stuff, and some of it was a little disappointing. I'm like, wait, I'm taking out where the toes are, you know, but it was dirt.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be a little nerve wracking, but usually the dirt will come off, even if it's dried, it'll come off and leave the casting material in place.
Right.
I used toothbrushes, you know, you name it. Took the wheel brush for the car, scrubbed it.
Yep. Okay, Jay, I think we're good with this particular setup.
Okay.
And we'll go back to...
Let's check out that 3D rendering. Can you bring that up, Steve?
Yep. Hang on one second, Chris. I'm working like multiple screens here.
Okay.
And... yeah, but of course, I can't find my right file screen right now to save my life. Save my life. My main screen back up here. Okay, now we've lost everything. Let's go back to there. Yeah, they don't make it easy on how to transfer pictures necessarily.
Hey, we're still in the dark.
Yeah, I think we're still in the casting room on the screen there, Steve.
I was like, actually, I came back here and I'm just like, oh, hello, where'd everyone go? So again, like I said, was my biggest thing, Steve, for this whole night.
See, the easiest thing to look at is the 3D rendering. That really will bring it out of what was cast. So, fortunately, now people can see that lighting can have quite the effect on what you're looking at. So
Correct.
When you look at a track, you have to get down on the ground sometimes to look at them.
Yeah.
Really
I mean, honestly, I don't even see what the flashlight did because I couldn't see. So I'll be curious to rewatch this to see how the flashlight.
Yeah, it looked like a bunch of rocks a lot of times. Or somebody mentioned that it looked like kind of like a big Rice Krispie treat because there is a lot of rock involved in it, but you can see.
But the thing is, and that's what I'm saying is this: I don't care if it's not the PG type of cast that people do. My thing is, I found this is castable. I believe Bigfoot's out in the Kettle Moraine, and is this? I don't want to say proof because again, nobody saw it make it, but
yeah, and I don't think you're going to find a trackway where one strolled across a sandbar every day either. Where it's nice and soft and
right.
You could get a high definition imprint.
Jack, I don't know what you mean by flipping it. This is a video. I can't flip nothing.
Yeah, actually, what I have on the 3D app, I did both sides of. I did the 3D rendering. This was in the process of cleaning. I have one that when it's totally clean, like it is now, and I did a 3D of that, and then I flipped it over, and I also did the 3D of the surface of what we got. And that's the odd thing too, is on the back of that, you can actually see kind of where 2 or 3 of the lumps are. Where I don't know, is it possibly where the toes dug up underneath the earth and lifted that up a little bit, and that's kind of what it reminds me of.
Well, the cool thing about it is the 3D rendering saves the day because no matter how you at nighttime, no matter how much light you can show on something, it really doesn't show the detail of a print unless you look at the 3D rendering. So once you look at the 3D rendering, you're like, oh, now that's pretty easy to see.
Exactly.
And,
Exactly. And again, it's understanding how to look at a cast. I mean, you were looking at things that were just like coming to you like boom, boom, boom that Wednesday night when you first looked at it. And actually, I thought you were going to say the same thing. Jay, you got a bunch of rocks. It's nothing. And you know what? I'd believe you. It'd be a black and white situation. It's not a matter of trying to, tiptoe around it.
The minute I had you lay that phone down alongside of it.
Yes.
And that's when I said, okay. This
Yeah.
is not just this. And then I said, bring it over and let's look at, then I could see some pressure ridges. You can see the pressure ridges
right
in this, down at the heel, a little bit up, a little bit more. So you're looking at something that was put down where pressure was not equal amongst the whole thing.
Right. And that's what you were explaining to me and Maddie when we were doing the video conference too. And, then
where you thought the foot ended was actually the base of the foot, the pad of the foot.
Right.
And the spot between the toe pads and the metatarsals, the metatarsals did not capture, but the toe pads did.
Right.
And that's, they did somewhat. They weren't perfect, but they
and that's what I'm saying. So it's kind of like, is it something that we did wrong? What can we learn from the way we casted this? We thought we would do the over pour. That was our intention, was to over pour it so that we could make sure that any of what looked like toes didn't get disturbed. They would be casted.
Right.
Because you could see when I first did the first cast, I actually just poured it into where the filling was, and then it kind of seeped, to the lowest point of the print, but it would have just stopped there. So I would not have been able to get the full depression of where I believe the heel's at.
And a question from Kaiju Ninja 1985. Jay, have you heard any wood knocks or vocals out there?
Absolutely. Definitely a lot of wood knocks, but you know what? The thing is, to me, they're almost like wood pops. But the only reason why I say wood pops, and this is just me, is that I've heard them in the 5 different areas where I research out there. And honestly, they all sound the same. Now, I know I didn't put them through a spectrometer or anything to give the same, but they sound like a hollow pop. And no matter where we're at, I don't care if it's in the winter, the summer, the spring, the fall. I did those all out of order, but out of all those seasons, they sound the same. And to me, I keep thinking, if it was a Bigfoot taking something, whapping against a tree, he would have to have the same type of club and try to hit the same type of tree to get the same type of reverberal pop. And then, so I personally don't see Bigfoot walking around like Captain Caveman, with a club. And just, in case he wants to do it, he's going to use whatever's next to him. So I kept thinking, is it possible that, are these wood pops something part of their body that they always have, whether it's a jaw or fingers or slap on the chest? I don't know. That's just the way I think of it. But I do hear a lot of those out there. And as far as vocals, believe it or not, only 2 in the past 10 years. They're very quiet. And actually, one of the ones that I caught recently, I actually gave to Steve to do an analysis on it. And that's actually in my second film, Beyond the Kettle, where he broke it down and he really brought that sound out. And, I wish somebody was recording me when that happened, because my eyes got as big as saucers. You know your surroundings out there. You definitely hear a lot of coyotes out there. You'll maybe even hear some residents, distance dogs out there, depending on the way the wind blows. But this thing, whatever it was, sounded like, I don't want to say a howl, but almost like a yell. And I keep thinking of the Ohio call, howl.
A little bit.
Ohio, to where it was just kind of but it was just one, and it was way out there though. So
to me, it was very siren-like, but it wasn't actually a mechanical type siren because the way it kind of trailed.
Right. And the thing is, I know my surroundings. I know if there's any towns, how far away they are, what direction it came from. So it was like, and definitely at the time.
And those are very important things to know when you set up, is where things are.
Yeah.
Where's your nearest fire department? Where's your
correct? Yep.
Jen's got a good comment here. It looks like most of the pressure would have been on the ball of the foot, then the heel and toes made contact. I think that's accurate. I think that's probably the way they do walk. The front of the foot, I think, hits first, and then the heel, and then maybe the toes touch down a little bit. I don't think they actually.
That could. I'm just saying that could almost, the way I would see the way it was impressioned into the ground, you would think it would be more of the, the forefront of the pad versus the toes going in. I mean, I don't know.
Let me
Yes.
remind people
Yes.
that we're looking at the inverse. Okay. So if you see a very weak heel, remember you shouldn't see a deep depression in the heel. If it pushes off on the ball of the front half of the foot, that's where you should see the deepest impression.
Right.
That's where the deepest cast is. So it does come down heel first, but when it pushes off, it digs in and pushes out.
Yeah.
Now
That's what it is. So it doesn't come down foot first. It comes down back foot first.
Okay,
where
so
where the major pressure comes from is not coming down when it steps down. It's when it pushes off.
So when it pushes off, why was it pushing off? And this goes back to what Maddie saw, which was something going from one tree to another. And again, a lot of times people are saying it's like, okay, you're only finding one print. Why? And just because we think it's on the ground, which I don't know, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it was going from one tree, came down, hit there, jumped up, and took off from there.
We can
I don't know.
speculate. We can speculate all day.
Oh yeah,
but
I have no idea.
Yeah,
that's the best answer for me. I don't know.
Yeah. So that to me looks like it very much the most of the pressure was on the front of the foot, but it doesn't necessarily mean it came first. To me, it came when it pushed off.
In a soft substrate like sand, Steve, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
But I believe that, of course, this is maybe where we differ. I believe the front of the foot comes down first, then the heel, and maybe, the toes. It's either a 1, 2, 3 with the toes being third, or a 1, 2 toes, and then the heel third, I think. But there is the push off. Yeah.
Think of locomotion, bipedal locomotion.
Yeah.
It has to be like this. It makes no sense to go like this and then back and then forward. Makes no sense. Yeah. And just look at
necessarily.
Talk to Dr. Jeff about that.
Okay. Yeah.
Because then you would have a very awkward kind of jerking type of step. Because
that's why one of the reasons.
So, imagine this: put your foot down first, and then you have to go back to put the pressure, lighter pressure on the heel of the foot.
Yeah, but the reason why they're able to maintain such a smooth gait, though, is because the front of the foot goes down first. That's stealth walking
in certain modes.
Yeah,
but I've seen that in half tracks.
Yeah,
it felt almost like tiptoeing. Somebody mentioned tiptoeing earlier, and I have seen that too, where, and then we're looking in the sand actually, and you can see what looks like half tracks, and you're like, what the heck is this? And then once in a while, you'd find the heel capture. So, it's hard to say what they're doing at that particular moment, but to me, it looked very similar to any other Bigfoot track that I've seen. It looked like it wasn't doing anything in particularly special. Because of that, tapering off at the heel, because many Bigfoot tracks do taper off at the heel.
Yeah, every track's going to be different too, depending on the substrate. If you get one in sand, it's going to look different than
on the angle.
Yeah,
on what it was doing.
It was doing, right? Was it running? Was it picking up speed? Was it slowing down? Up a hill, down a hill? Lot of factors.
Yep. So who knows what the heck I was doing in this particular instance. All I know is, to me, that the overall shape looks right of it. The taper looks right to it. There were pressure ridges look right to it. You got to recognize when, certain parts of the foot does not capture what that cause could be.
Yeah.
And that's all part of tracking. That's all part of looking at tracks, which I've done hundreds of hours, more than I'd like to. admit.
Yeah. That's why we came to you.
What's
I like
next?
it, Jay.
Yeah,
I like it.
Too. I do too.
I like it. Yeah.
Well, thank you. So, and that's exactly what I was looking for on this night was the truth. And honestly, that's what it is. I see both of you guys as really honest, right? You know, to the point. You would say what it is, no matter what the heck was that?
I don't know. Wasn't here.
Wait a minute. Are we still live in the casting room?
Is there a balloon flying over?
No. If that's still live out there, which it probably is.
The casting room is not on the set, so we won't hear it.
Oh, well, weird. It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
Okay. So anyway, getting back to the point, I trust your guys' opinion. And again, you really
now Kaiju Ninja says the print looks pretty flat. And that's actually an indicator of a Sasquatch print. They're flat-footed. They have no arch. A boot would have some curvature to it to accommodate an arch. And that's why I'm not necessarily convinced that it's a boot slide, because I've seen boot slides, and you can tell. And usually boots have striations in them, such as a print, that would leave that nice groove in there to do that. And we were seeing no
I don't think it was aliens. No.
I'm not saying it was aliens.
And Maddie thinks it's a jump track. Could be. You know,
possible.
Yeah. I mean, I got you, Jen. Yep.
Yeah, it's not going to win any awards for being the most well-definitioned track there, Jay, or cast. Yep. But you know what? You can look at something and say, well, this is obviously this, or it's obviously that. And, I can look at that. I can't tell exactly what you've got there, but I like it. I really do.
Okay, I got you, Jen. Yep, I misunderstood that the first time you wrote it. Okay, yep, got it.
And sorry, you guys were just spinning on my screen. I'm like looking at it, and I'm looking at the screen, and you guys were just all like buffering, and I couldn't see anybody.
Oh.
And I had perfect signal. I'm looking at it, and I'm like,
well, I hope my internet's not cutting out again.
No, you're fine. I think what's going on, that was Jay's internet problem, because it wasn't going on here. Nobody locked up. Sorry. Sometimes your computer can buffer.
Well, you know what? It's a damn casting thing still on out there. That's why.
No, it's off.
Oh, good.
But I think Jay did the right thing. If you see something that looks like it may be something and you really can't tell, you've got the material there anyway, cast it. Because you never know. You might come out with something that, you could dig it out and clean it up, and it could be like, oh my God, this is the most fabulous cast ever, or it could be like, well, it's, not great, but you never know what you're going to get. Just like Forrest Gump.
This is it. Like I said,
Bigfoot New York, Todd says it's rare, so rare to find a track with good toe definition. Agreed, especially in substrates in New York, which me and Todd are, I'm sure we're familiar with. Yep. Yeah. And Kaiju Ninja said, Jay, the cast is possessed.
I kind of read that off to the side, and I'm like, I'm wondering if it's going to start glowing one of these nights,
There's a researcher over in Edmonton, Kentucky, and he's found a lot of tracks that he calls moccasin tracks, and which is, I don't know. I've seen a few examples of what he's talking about, and I'm not going to say that he's right on the money, but I think he's pretty close. I don't think their toes actually hit the ground at the same time the rest of the foot does either. And I think they have the ability to either leave a toe track, or at some point, if they don't feel like they need to put their toes down, they don't have to.
Yeah, and just so you say, Mick turned around and said, I'm with Steve. I've seen the underside of boots in all-out brawls more times than I want to admit. It doesn't look like a boot slide to me. He's got the scars to prove it, too. Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you. Let me just ask you. And it's not calling anybody out, because you guys have spent a little bit more time looking at this prior to the show. And like I said, I did reach out to a couple people. I never heard back from Dr. Jeff Meldrum. I know he's read them. I know he's busy. Ken looked at them right away, Ken Gerhard, and he felt really good about them. However, he admitted he's not an expert in the tracks. Cliff, I don't know what Ken actually sent him, but Cliff came back and said it looks like a boot slide. Maybe the boot was about 14 inches, but he did sign off saying, "Or I could be wrong, Cliff."
Sure.
So I understand that, and that's kind of where I'm getting at tonight. It's not a matter. I don't know if anybody's all going to agree or not with it. I personally, being biased, I guess, with the experiences I've had out there, believe it is a Sasquatch print. I don't know everything like you guys are explaining about, the way they push off and the different parts of this is stuff I'm learning. So thank you. This is educational for me, tonight by looking at different things like that.
Yeah, we tend to push off with our, from the foot of the ball of the foot on upward.
Right.
Which means our toes always capture really great, because our toes are part of that springboard.
Yep.
Whereas if you think about locomotion and kinetics and kinesiology. If you think about how a foot comes down, if it breaks in the middle, it's going to have a little less of a toe imprint because it's springing off more towards a little further behind than the toes, ours, because of where that fulcrum is.
Yep, the foot's going to be evolved to support the weight more than the toes would.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I saw Maddie comment somewhere in there. She thinks it was a jump print or somewhere.
And very well, it could have been. Very well.
Again, I think it's because of what she saw and where it's at. In fact, I even showed my mom. If mom's watching, hi mom, love you. Is
good evening, Mrs. Bachochin. Glad to have you here.
And but she was saying the same thing about how is there just one print? And she actually said, did it hop from one to another tree? That's even before she knew anything about what Maddie saw and anything like that. And again, we don't know, right? We didn't see what made it. And I guess this is the best think tank we can have, is understanding on how the foot moves, for what it could be doing. So.
And Kaiju Ninja says, I really look to see if it's flat-footed or not. Any arch is suspect to me. And absolutely right.
Yeah.
Years ago, I saw this guy holding up these prints. Oh, look what we got today. These Bigfoot prints. I forgot where it was, somewhere in Michigan. And each print had an arch. Yeah. And I'm going, that's not a Bigfoot.
Nope.
That's not a Sasquatch. They do not have arches. And sometimes hoaxers will do that because they haven't studied the topic enough. They said, "Oh, I'll just make a big footprint and pass it off as a big footprint." And they don't realize that, a big footprint doesn't have an arch. It doesn't look like our print. It's physically different than our foot.
Yep.
Which is another reason why a Bigfoot can't be 100% of our DNA.
Yep.
Right. So for all those,
so I did see somebody else ask at one point. It was a while ago, maybe about 20 minutes ago. Somebody was asking. If there was, what the distance was from the next foot. I don't know if they knew that I only found the one. However, the big thing that I just want to explain here is I've been researching hiking these areas for 10 years. The ones I found in 2014 was the only trackway that I found that measured 17.5 by 6. That's the way I measured the deep snow imprint in 1.5 feet, 2 foot of snow. No drag mark, and I followed 12 of them. And they were flat-footed. There was no drag after it, and it was 53 inches from heel to heel of each one in a tightrope fashion. And again, I was a newbie still looking at this, and I was like, now somebody's pulling one over on me. But it was still snowing when me and my wife found them. Actually, I found them. She walked right by them, and I found them, and I'm just like, okay, who could have done this? I mean, I'm looking at my wife's marks in the snow, and you could follow them like a snail because we don't pick our feet up. But anyway, those were 53 inches from heel to heel, and about 12 of them. So that was the only one. And I found several footprints after, whether the castable or on the surface, and they all measure 17.5 by 6.
Good night, Maddie.
Oh, Maddie. Good night. Good night,
Maddie. Thanks.
Love you. Get well. But anyway, so that's kind of what I was saying. It's not like this is the first, what I believe a footprint out in the Kettle Moraine. I have found close to 11, or this could be a dozen right now. But again, a lot of them are just surface or disturbances, but I measure and document everything. So,
yep. Chad says common, just find one print.
One print. Yep.
And I think that's because the other ones don't capture properly. I mean, because of substrate, nothing is perfect. And the only time you get trackways is along, riverbanks and along, sandy areas and stuff like that. When you're in the forest, good luck. Or in the snow, maybe, but it's got to be.
If you come across a trackway in the forest, you're going to have to follow it for a long time before you might come up an area of substrate where it was good enough to leave an impression, a good one.
Yeah. And Daniel Weeks says his had a 48-inch, 48. And you know what? I tend to agree with that. The Fort Ann cast had a 48-inch stride going uphill at a 25-degree angle. Maybe even a little bit steeper than that.
Like the ones that I found in the snow in 2014. The last one was actually on a fallen oak that had snow. Like I said, it was still snowing, lightly snowing, and there was snow on the top of the fallen oak, and there was just like a disturbance there. I don't know if it could have been a heel or what, but then when I looked, there was nothing. It was like just gone. I could not. I tried to do a radius there too, and I could not find another print. So I was lucky enough to find 12. I wish I could have cast whatever back then, but it was still snowing. If I didn't find those in about an hour, I would say they would start getting filled up. So I got lucky to document them when I did.
And that's something, the stride length on these things is just unbelievable. And people need to realize and do an experiment. Put a piece of masking tape on a concrete floor or on your hardwood floor or whatever, and then measure out, just say 42 inches, and then put another piece of masking tape there, and try to do that step walk from one to the other without, stretching it.
Right. Crazy.
So Kaiju Ninja asks, Steve, have I seen any jewelry prints before? Yes, I have seen them. I've seen one. Again, it only captured one. There was a lot of other depressions in the leaf litter to indicate that there was a path, and that was it was found the day after I had my sighting of a 5.5-foot juvenile that took off after I got out of my tent to use a tree, and trying to think off the top of my head, that track measured 9 inches by 4 inches. So it was very wide, very flat, but the toes captured it in that. That particular cast went with Melissa and Wayne of Ohio because they found it. They wanted to give it to me. I said, nope, you found it. Your casting material. It's yours.
Yeah.
But they were nice enough to say, well, it is your area. I appreciate that. They were doing all the Bigfoot etiquette. But I said, nope, you guys kiss out.
So Steve, I do have one question though, real quick.
Mm-hmm.
What do I tell my wife then about this print?
Well, what do you want to tell her about?
Yeah, right.
Because you kind of have a reservation about it.
No, I do. She really supports everything I do.
I would show her some of the comparisons on that video tonight.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
And then
she doesn't want it to be real. Because then that's gonna burst the bubble.
The 3D rendering. The 3D rendering,
which I showed her. Like I said, it's better with you explaining the breakdowns. Like I said, I'm just a guy who's walking in the woods and observing and documenting. That's what I'm doing. I'm learning as I go, but I'm nowhere near your level, or Chris's level, or Mike Ann's level. You guys are just right there with understanding it. Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing the footwork, but who knows? You know what? I mean, it's funny because there's certain things I can't find at work, and my boss says, "Don't you look for Bigfoot? Like it's right there." And I'm like, "Oh man, maybe Bigfoot's just walking by me out in the woods." I don't know.
I think
Don Flo asks, Clear a picture before the casting. Let me see if I can't pull that one.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I don't know which one. Nope, that's not the right one.
I think I put it in there in the Google Drive. Or should be. Yeah, that's it. That's what I came across.
Yeah.
So again, if you're looking at that, I'm looking at it saying, damn, it's it looks, I can see the toes, I can see the heel, or at least coming out to the heel. And that is hard substrate right there. I'll tell you right now. Like I said, when we were trying to get the cast out, we could only get in about an inch and a half, 2 inches each, down. So,
Well, Jay, let me ask you a question. Do you feel this is a right print or a left?
That's a great question. There's a lot of people that are saying what that is. This, to me, looks like a right print.
I think so, too.
And I think it's because on the left is where I see the beginning of the first toe, second, third, fourth, and the fifth is kind of in the upper right-hand corner. Or is it possible, see how it kind of flexes out there on the right side?
Okay. So you're saying the big toe is on the left.
That's what I, when I first looked at it, that's what it looks like to me. But that could be a disturbance there too.
Let's take a look at the rendering. The rendering is
the rendering doesn't lie.
I'm seeing a right.
Now again,
I too am saying a right.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, actually, I'm seeing a right. But if you look at that print, okay, is that reversed?
Yes, we'll have a reverse.
Right. No, hold on. Yeah. No, hang on. Is the rendering reversed?
Oh.
No. That should be right on. I'm just going right over the cast. So but the thing is, isn't the cast a mirror of what you're looking at? So you'd have to flip it over.
So the big toe is actually going to be on the left of the screen in the print as we're looking at the big picture. Think about it. You got to flip it.
Right.
To be a right foot. And the big toe is going to be on the left-hand side.
Right.
Little toe, and they will go from left to right on a right foot.
Anyway, that's what I saw when I came up to it. And again, that stood out to me, like I said, a sore thumb or a sore foot. That's just what I looked at. And again, I documented it and everything, but I left without casting it. And when I got home, I'm like, nope, I don't care how late it is. I'm going to go out and cast. So thank God for Chris and Maddie wanting to go out and do it. And thank God you were still up, Steve, because I know we're an hour difference, and it was probably about 1 or yeah.
Now, what are we looking at? Is that the same print there?
That's
Jay?
the same print. Yep.
All right. So that to me is a more clear shot of what we're looking at. And that makes a lot more sense than looking at that close up, because sometimes,
yes,
like when you're an incident commander, they say you should never be, like a fire chief, you should never be right there and at the front of the building directing people. You should be standing back a bit, because then you see the whole picture. By looking into that, I see the whole picture.
I think there's a few other pictures that were up there too. I tried to get like different angles and everything.
Yeah, I picked out, I think, the best.
Okay.
And that one.
But anyway, that's it. But you can also see when you're walking out there, you could see the rest of the ground, where it just kind of is just an impression.
Yeah, you can see the toes there, and like I say, that toe ridge, the bumps in the toes there.
Well,
I can understand where if Cliff got the one picture of it and said, it looks like a boot slide. What accounts for those?
Right.
Looking like
see, and that's exactly it. It's like, I know Cliff didn't get probably all the 3D and everything like that. I did send all that to Dr. Jeff, but
Jay, I got a question on while you were pouring the cast.
Yes.
Was the first layer kind of thick? And
First
then,
layer, we just did one layer. We just dumped it all in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot I have learned on how to pour after,
Okay.
because basically what we did is we mixed it, and I started kind of at the toes and backed out. Now we did make kind of a reservoir, like a little dam around it, to build it up just a half inch to an inch, so that we knew we were going to over pour that to try to be. I'm pointing at my screen that you can't see. That we're trying to get to the bottom of the heel to get that disturbance there. So that's why we made it so big and wide.
Right.
But, yeah, so we didn't do it layer by layer. And I the thing is, these are all great ideas for, another cast. For
Well, yeah,
time.
man. Don't worry about that. I mean,
yeah,
I just was wondering.
I'm like, wait, one layer.
So
or what was I saying?
We did measure the cast earlier on the Air Raptor, and that was 17 inches long. And I think the toe splay was 9 inches wide, and the heel width was 4.5 inches at the heel. As far as what the size of the Bigfoot is, that nobody saw. So I won't even tend to try to use a sliding rule calculator on track to what size Sasquatch is. I won't do that. That's more for a scientist. I can give you the data on the print. I can't give you.
If we had a measurement of where the alien, was at on the tree from the ground up, you could get
true.
You could use that to do a scale.
True. Okay. And here's the hard thing is that when me and Ben were out there looking for, which we believe we found up close where the alien tree would have been, but then there, now we're trying to gauge because it wasn't right next to that tree. It had to have been a little bit further back, but how much further back? That was the hard thing to try to figure out. Like Steve, you were just saying about the fire chief. Once you're up close into all this, you're just like, okay.
Now, Jay, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
The terrain behind where that the head was.
Yeah.
Can you describe the terrain in the background?
Just brush.
No hill.
No, just it's kind of flat right there, which goes out. So it's not like divots in, divots down, or anything like that. It's
somebody may mention there seemed to be a little less snow on the ground there. So
right, yeah.
So that kind of kills that theory that if there was a hill that went up behind it,
yeah,
it may have been snow covered. So
no hills behind it, just kind of flat. We were actually more on the higher peak, looking down.
That makes sense.
And then it's flat for a while. So yeah,
they're going to be checking you out from the lower area. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I always say there's some areas that I have that I call Ambush Alley, where we're going like a lot lower, like we're like in Death Valley, like in the 200-foot kettle where the kettles are going up. And I'm like, that's actually where the rocks were thrown at me back in 2013 I call it Ambush Alley because I'm like, they have the upper hand right here. No matter where I'm going, they seem to, at the time I had no idea because at first we were thinking there were acorns falling in September, but they weren't, the sound wasn't down. They were through the leaves. So they were being, horizontal, not vertical. But as we kept walking, they kept landing by our feet, right in between us. And you would hear these pebbles just coming out. I'm like, who in the heck is doing this? I didn't, at this point, again, I was still new into this. I didn't know, Bigfoot throws pebbles or rocks or whatever, and finally we get down to this certain area where it happened. They stopped throwing them. And I'm thinking it's a hunter or something. We're already now about 100 yards ish from where we were, but there's so much terrain back there. And you heard nothing moving that I picked up I picked up one rock and I whipped it out there and I couldn't hit the side of a barn and I hit this tree, made a loud popping sound. And Sanjay's like, oh, that was good. And I'm like, yeah, they're going to try to throw them at me because I did that. And just as I said that, a barrage of these rocks come and you hear them from a distance, just and they land by my feet. And I capture all this on film. I didn't see what threw them, but you're talking about the terrain or the advantage or anything like that. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's all hearsay, but it's all, I documented it all. That's why I put them in on video. Honestly, it's never for fame or fortune, and we know that we don't make money doing this. It's about the truth out there, and I'm glad that I'm on here tonight, because out of anybody, I would take your critique or your you say rant or rave on them, or your just the way you observe these, to me, as gold, because I look up to you with what you do, and I want to learn from you. So,
and like I said, is this definitely a Sasquatch print? I don't know.
Right.
I really don't know. It looks decent, but could there be another explanation? I did not see the print on the ground made, so I can't make that necessary determination. The only way I can make a solid determination is if I'm there and I see the impression in the ground itself.
Yep.
Right. Yep. So,
and I gotta say, the impression in the ground in the photo looks better than the cast. And I'm sorry, Jay, but I think you may have started pouring your cast a little thick. And when you do, you're going to lose a lot of that definition, what you've already got. You have to start out with like a really pancake batter thin and just kind of put you a layer in there to get the definition, and then let that dry for a minute. Then you start laying the rest of it on there.
See, we kind of
so next time, yeah,
we kind of missed that one. We just kind of went,
yeah,
it just all went in there. So, but again, that's what I'm saying is it was our first cast, did not come out 100%.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm good with it, just because I did my due diligence, I feel, with this print, with you guys, with other people out there, and that's all I can add.
Mike wants to know, was there grass in the bottom of the track?
Like it had the plucking out, like what you're looking at on there?
Yeah.
I'm sure there was, Mike, but that is now in the garbage. I know. I should have used gloves and a UV. Yeah, exactly. In a UV light.
Mike's thinking about eDNA. I know.
No, honestly, that's cool. Right when Steve told me that Wednesday night when me and Maddie were cleaning it, he's like, "Oh, yeah, you're not wearing gloves." It's like it's a little bit too late now.
I didn't see any dermal ridges.
No,
in the casting.
You're not going to see dermal ridges Kaiju Ninja 85 because unless you get a cast that's made in like a clay soil that has the ability to hold that ridge, you're not going to find anything. It's like trying to find dermal ridges in a sand. They don't register. It's got to be like a really, really sticky, like a red clay type soil with a lot of clay in it to hold that impression. Good stuff.
You did what you're supposed to do, Jay. Good job.
That's right.
Regardless of what this print is.
Exactly.
You did a good job. It's a good exercise at the very least. And that's what makes it important. Now, the next time you'll be a little bit better looking at.
And that's another reason, I think, because it lacks the definition. You don't have a good Patterson and Gimlin cast there.
Right.
Okay. So a lot of the guys like Cliff and Dr. Jeff they're probably not going to spend much time looking at it,
Right.
And
that's fine. There's a lot of people that will say that. I just saw
Yeah.
Karen was saying, Jay, it's your cast, your belief. And the thing is, I agree with that, meaning whether this was a boot that said Nike, just do it on it, right?
Yeah.
I would still say Bigfoot's out in the Kettle Moraine for a number
Jay,
of other reasons.
He's proper English. He would have said, just did it.
Just did it. That's true. But you know what I'm saying? That's what it's about. And I said, even on tonight's show, if there's a soul or anything that we could really determine that's 100% obvious, I would come out and say it. But it wouldn't change my mind of what's in the Kettle Moraine. That's where I'm at. This just helps a little, helps that little confirmed validation for me. So I'm excited either way, just even for the experience. That's what Maddie would say too, and even Chris, because it was something different to do. Usually we're out there hiking and observing or doing the night stuff, but no, we're doing something. We were doing
it.
Doing it. That's right.
Yeah.
Getting it done. That's the way to go.
Look at those silly humans out there making casts.
That's right.
Oh.
And then, look, here comes the park ranger.
Hey guys, what are you doing out here?
Exactly.
Kaiju Ninja says, Jay, are there any bodies of water like a lake near you, and have you checked it for prints?
These areas do have bodies of water and some ponds, and sometimes they're low, depending on the water for the year. Sometimes they're higher or lower. A lot of these nearby lakes are on the back end of, you could say, coming up to little towns. I have not actually gotten onto there. Okay, so my research areas really are, as a crow flies, it would be a piece of cake for whatever type of animal to get out there to the lake. But for us, it'd probably be a good maybe half mile away would be the largest lake, and then you got some ponds and stuff in there. So I do. It's like when I come across those. Go ahead.
Let me just address this real quick.
Yes.
You guys can believe what you want. All I can say is this is not a Bigfoot print, and they said it was on the show. And they said it was on the show.
They said it on the show.
They said it on the.
No,
you know
didn't
what?
say,
Now, it don't matter. You know what? You don't like the sandbox, go play in that somebody else's sandbox.
Oh.
Now,
I'm getting tired of this person who goes by many aliases that thinks he is the final say on everything. You're not the final say. The rest of the people are the final say collectively.
Yeah.
Well, the way I
Simple
would
as
look
like-
at it, honestly, I was not, and I don't even look at it of saying the masses are going to all agree with it or
Right.
not. So,
Right.
I think that was that.
Don't think that you're above everybody else because you said something. That's the law.
It's not the law.
It's not.
They try to put. Yeah, I put out 2 documentaries, and I look at some reviews on there, and it's like, man, they rip on my family.
And what I say is not the law either necessarily. So, does the air have nitrogen, carbon dioxide, and oxygen in it? Yes. That's the law that we can't dispute. But is this a big footprint? Maybe. Looks kind of good to me, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. And if you want to make a stink about that, go play in somebody else's sandbox. This is my sandbox.
That's right.
Simple as that.
Yes.
Right. And you're entitled to your opinion. Just don't go stomping around angry about it. So.
You know what I've always learned though is, and this is me, that's how I am. No matter if I go speak somewhere or people have questions that they throw my way. If I don't know, which I don't know, I say, I don't know. And I think that's one of the best answers I can ever give, because there's no way I'll ever say I am this.
Yeah.
Again, I've been doing it for only a short time compared to what you and Steve have been doing it for. You guys have casted before. You guys understand so much. And then there's so many people out there doing it. I'm not trying to one up anybody. I'm focused on my little corner of Wisconsin. That's
right. Yeah, I think you're doing a fine job, Jay. I mean, if you find something that looks suspicious, cast it. You never know. Sometimes you'll pull it up there and you can read a lot into that cast. Now, on this one, I don't know if the cast did the print justice or not, from what I can see from the photo.
Right.
But if you never cast one, then you never learn. You never learn.
That's exactly it. That's what I'm saying. Tonight was really educational for me.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that everybody that tunes in really looks at this and the same thing, and look at this as an educational part of what to do, what not to do, what you can change differently, learn from it.
Right.
And listen, as far as what Raptor said, listen, I have no problem you having a differing opinion. Just don't stomp your feet and get angry about it, because we have a different opinion. We can agree to disagree and not we're not putting a picture of a porcupine up there and saying it's a Bigfoot. That's
Steve and I don't agree on everything. So what? It don't matter.
Don't matter. We're all out here to solve the mystery.
Yep.
That's right.
And honestly, it's also, you were saying about, it seems that people want to put you out there, call you out to say that's what it is, when the next person who looks at it is going to say, no, it's not. Therefore, they're going to look back at the person who said it was. If they're not qualified to know. Then it starts this whole ruckus. At least, Steve, you broke it down. And that's what I was looking for. Honestly, the whole night, I was looking for the way you would break this down so that I can always use this this video afterwards for reference.
It's definitely an educational process within the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wouldn't give him the ratings.
Oh, Daniel.
But
oh boy. Yeah.
Well, with that.
Yeah. What an anticlimactic way to end it. Just dead silence. All right, we beat this dead horse long enough.
Hang on a second. All right.
But I want to thank you again, Steve, Chris, for having me on tonight. And I'm gonna keep doing it, and I'm glad I have you guys in my back pocket to
hey, Raptor, it's a real something. It's not like it was contrived or produced. So let's put it to rest, buddy. Stop being so angry.
I don't think that was for me either.
I think it was for Chris Tipton.
Yeah.
I saw him defending on the right side, which is good. You know what? Chris is that way. Chris is one of those outstanding citizens. Can I tell you a quick little story about when I first met Chris? Not you,
Go ahead.
But Chris Tipton. And he was kind of following me on Facebook. And I was speaking up in Milwaukee, and he came up in 2016. And because we were talking on Facebook for a while and everything. And, so that's where I first met him. And he's like, yeah, I want to get out sometime. And then I think it was early December is when he could finally get out. We get out, and I park him on my spot. It's snowing. The roads suck. They're slushy. It's snowing. And as we're getting some of our gear out, this little, I think it was kind of a minivan-ish type car woman was driving. She's hauling. And it goes around the curve, and you just hear, tish! And Chris goes, call 911, because this is what Chris does. Chris is like this superhero that helps people because that's what he was. He's a first responder. And so next thing you know, he's around the curve. I get down there, and he's pulling a lady out of the car. Her car's halfway going into the kettle, being kind of just right there, hung up by a sign. That was my first time I met Chris, and I'm glad he's got my back walking out there. He's a no-nonsense guy, and I love you, brother. So it's now but now Chris, his first love, well, he loves muskie fishing. He also is a storm chaser, so he chases tornadoes. Cool. I know. Well, he wants me to go with him. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to.
I don't know how smart that is, Chris, but
that's another thing your wife will be like, oh, there goes Jay again. Now he's out chasing storms.
Are you kidding? She wants to go with Chris. She wants to go out and even I think Maddie said that too. I'm like, man, you're talking about adrenaline. I get a little nervous when storms are going over my house, and kids get ready to run. Pack them away.
But the thing tornadoes there in Kentucky, and I assume be driving the other way.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the way you guys understand the foot and everything like that is he understands the weather. I mean, he doesn't just look at the radar. I mean, he's looking at so many different things I don't even understand, but he knows right where to go to try to track him down, try to chase him. So I think it's pretty cool. And so thirdly, he likes to go hiking with me. And so I love him for that. So he's been a great hiking partner, and he's kept me leveled down as well, because that's how he is. There's not a Bigfoot behind every tree, but when things start going south, I know he'd have my back and I'd have his. That's enough love I can give you right now, Chris. And you too, Chris Bennett.
And you too. Yeah, it remains to be seen if he would hesitate if there was a bear around.
No, he would stand. I think he would stand in front of it before it attacked me.
I bet he would.
Yeah, I would do the same thing for him. Now, I don't know how far it would get, but I would try.
Truth be that.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, it's that time.
Yeah.
So you want to do your thing.
I want
wrapping up the show.
I want to thank Jay for coming on tonight and sharing his cast with us and letting us view it. I like it. Okay. I can't say it's definitive, but I like it. I like the pressure ridges. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say it is or it isn't, but I like it. And that's all I really can say. I want to thank everybody in chat that came in. Everybody, we appreciate you so much. If it's your first time watching us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Smash that like. Give us some love with the algorithm. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. And folks, again, Jay, thanks for coming on tonight, my brother. I'm glad, we could take a deep dive onto this, and not everybody's going to agree, but, whether they're either pro Bigfoot or, maybe it's not a Bigfoot. Maybe it's not. I don't know. For sure I wasn't. Like I said, the only way I could really tell is if I was there to get my hands on the impression for it and actually look at that cast piece by piece.
All right, and for the record, then, because Chris said his, Steve, you just said yours, and I appreciate that, and thank you for having me on. But I believe it's 100% Bigfoot. That's me.
And you're entitled to do that.
I'm entitled to it.
Yeah,
I like it.
No, but again, no, seriously. But thank you for having me on so quick. I know we were just on a couple weeks ago, so I appreciate the follow up in part 2 and everything that you've done for me on the show as well as off the show as well. So thank you very much.
Anytime. I'm a resource for you.
Yes, you are. You're my go-to guy. That's why I call you go-to guy, Steve.
And folks, again, thanks for tuning in tonight. We love you guys all. Welcome again to all our new subscribers. The channel's been booming this week, so we'll have more videos this week coming out. Of course, next week is Super Bowl Sunday, so guess where we won't be? We won't be here.
You're going to be in Vegas.
No, I'm going to be in front of my TV, probably eating chicken wings and watching the game, just enjoying the carnival atmosphere.
I'll probably be watching The Last of Us. I'm not big on sports.
Yeah.
And when Chris is not watching that, he'll be up on his roof looking for the next Chinese balloon to fly over.
Don't worry, folks. You're safe if it comes over Kentucky.
We should have pitched a bit. We should have pitched a bitch at Charlie Wonton for that, but
that would have been good.
So anyway.
Okay, Charlie.
All right.
So anyway, folks, we'll see you back in 2 weeks, 9 p.m. Eastern. That would be what the heck is for it? The 19th. We'll be back on February 19th with author Bruce Hallenbeck talking about the Kinderhook Creature, his new book entitled The Kinderhook Creature and Beyond.
Yeah. Dr. Hallenbeck.
And he'll be talking about his grandmother's experiences and all that stuff that happened in Kinderhook back in the 80s and some of his own possible personal, interactions with something that kept stealing his bait he put up on a pole. Really interesting story. Great guy.
Very
former local broadcaster as well. So
great
to
guest
have him on. Yeah. So everybody have a great week. Have a great 2 weeks. Stay healthy. God bless. And we'll catch you all here next time. Squatch DTV. You got it. We'll catch you all in a bit, guys. Be safe.
Hey folks, you've been watching Squatch D TV. Join us each week, Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for the latest on the Bigfoot mystery. As always, we thank you for being our loyal viewers and encourage all to subscribe to our YouTube page at youtube.com/Steve Kulls. As always, have a great week. Stay safe. God bless. And keep on squatching.